So for you, it's simply about the incompetence of the heads of our security institutions, essentially.
Totally. And the lack of, I keep talking about the issue of the lack of willpower. The lack of willpower. My brother, look at the situation in Nigeria, whereby I talked about a civil servant who disappeared. Where is he? How can he go out of the country when he was reinstalled? He came back again.
You're talking about Abdul Rashid Mena.
Talk about that. Talk about the issue that the NIA boss was about to be arrested by the EFCC and his men will not allow them to touch him. Talk about this kind of situations that the EFCC boss is being asked to leave, but he's not leaving, he's still acting. See, there is shambles, and the criminals are very smart. This is not 1960. The terrorists are very smart. They are eating out of the gaps in the system.
Mr. Kwelu, let me just ask you. Let's just assume for a moment that the president rejigs his security apparatus, appoints all new heads, people that are very competent, very capable. Now, let's say that happens and you get to a point where you need to establish a budget that will enable you to buy the logistics you need to secure the borders, to enhance recruitment, to enhance even the tools that you're going to need, the logistical equipment that you're going to need to execute the strategies. And you get to a point where these budgets are not being passed and they're not even being passed on time. Can you really say that the role of the National Assembly and the role that they have in overseeing these institutions is not absolutely critical to the effectiveness of those institutions, no matter how competent the heads of these agencies are?
The National Assembly is so well structured that we have representatives from the 774 local governments in Nigeria. So obviously they want to save the lives of their constituents. They want to save the lives of their own people. So why would they refuse something that is working? If you bring competent hands to lead our national security agencies, if you give us a biometric database, if you secure our borders, if you make sure that if a killer herdsman kills anybody in Benue or in Taraba or in Adamawa, the person will be taken inside and face the charges and probably get prosecuted. People are going to work with you. But when you kill people, you don't arrest anybody. Tell me after like 1 month, you say that you've gotten 4 people. How can 4 people kill 777 people? Come on, we are just, it's purely semantics. It's pure window dressing. It's painful. What is the worth of a Nigerian life today? It's almost worthless. The Nigerian life does not worth anything because we don't even know our population, with all due respect. The idea of 180 million, you don't even know our population because you don't know who is in the country. You don't know who left. You don't know who died. You don't know who is giving to birth because people give birth at home. People die and they just cover them up. There's no birth certificate. There's no death certificate.
Speaking of deaths, I have to take us now to the farmer and herdsman clashes. Obviously, we heard just yesterday from the Nigeria police force that apparently the killers of the 73 people in Benue State during the New Year's Day massacre, that they have now been apprehended. What are your thoughts on that? Do you believe that they have the people that have actually done this crime? Because there have been allegations that, look, these are just scapegoats. What are your thoughts about that?
I saw 4 men on national TV accused, and I saw 2 machetes on the floor with a blue wrap. That is supposed to be the weapon of crime. If you've done a forensic, a crime scene, if you look at the people that were killed, were they killed all by machetes?
I believe there were some rifles as well.
Good. All right. And so the people, so the machetes they got, have they tried to look at the crime scene to see if they left any fingerprints on the people that were killed or on the buildings that were burned? How are they using this? Because if you don't do all this and just tell me that those 4 men are guilty, are the suspects, for me as an expert, I'll find it hard to believe. You have not shown me any critical, empirical evidence that these 4 men could perpetrate that kind of injustice or criminality. I need more because I'm an expert, but you can use that for media, propaganda, and it sounds good, but I need more. I need more empirical, critical evidence that these 4 men, because for me right now, they are innocent. If the state decides to pull you down, what can they do? We don't even know their names. So it's difficult to believe that the lives that were lost in Benue were done by, it's possible, but as an expert, there's so much gaps in that situation in those 4 men. And showing me 2 machetes, so that means 2 of them came with bare hands and 2 came with machetes. It doesn't come together at all.
The report indicated that they had killed some police officers and taken the arms of the police officers. So they had multiple rifles, assault rifles, and I think pump-action shotguns as well. So I'm not quite sure, obviously, who did what. That information has not yet come out. But in your opinion, your estimation, 4 people killing 73 with machetes and rifles is an unlikely scenario then?
To kill a life is not like a walk in the park. Mm-hmm. And when you look at some of the decomposing bodies, you can be able to assess the machete entrance. Some of them will have like about 8, 9 machete entrance. For you to cut off, to actually salvage a human membrane, a neck, you need to probably apply up to 10 for you to be able to sever it. It's not easy that way. You need to have strength, you need to have energy. Let's say they are on drugs, which is always very possible, but the bottom line is the evidence hasn't come together. Probably let them take them to court, bring their lawyers in so we can be able to test the case further. But as a professional, 4 against 75 in their own community, in their own environment, and they were able to do this for an hour, for 45 minutes, 4 people, it doesn't hold water. But look at another issue here that you have to consider. The people that they've pulled down are always illiterate people. So they can't even speak for themselves. So we can just blame them, they are the guilty ones, but they cannot speak for themselves. So let's take them to court and let the police do what they're supposed to do. Let's allow our army to protect our national sovereignty. Let's allow the police to do their work. What I'm seeing in Nigeria now, with all due respect, that we have a structure in Nigeria today where the police can only go to a certain level. They'll be pushed aside. Here comes the army, enter. Mm-hmm. In almost every situation, they'll go to an extent, you can see that they cannot go any further. How can the policeman, without an armor vest, without proper weapon, go to chase herdsmen in the bush in the night, in a place he's not very well informed? So the bottom line is the army has to be army, the police has to do the police. But right now in Nigeria, it's not the situation. And trust me, the way we are diddle-daddling about these things, we keep losing lives and properties. We keep losing business. And they go to me and talk about tittle-tattles. For me, it's all deceptive.
Mr. Onyekwelu, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your insights with us this morning. Standing by with us has been Vince Onyekwelu, a security consultant and a former officer with the British Police Force.